Good morning, everyone. Uh, I I looked at the sheet, the networking game sheet. People who love React and don't like tea, please don't come talk to me. I don't want to talk to you. And I requested that a hate React section be added. Jokes apart, this is a in 2022 at India Foss that we held in Bangalore. I'd given a talk on Indic Dictionaries in general. This is an extension of that talk. Much has changed in the last 4 or so years. This last November, I'm from Calicut, Kerala. It's just 3.5 hours away from here if you take the train. This past November was the 15th anniversary of the Olam dictionary. It's an online English Malayalam dictionary. I started it when I was in the university and it came online in 2010. It was born out of my frustration at the lack of a good quality Malayalam dictionary. And I've been maintaining and slowly growing the project ever since. And with the big updates that happened this past November, it now has 1 million English/Malayalam entries, and I think it that makes it the world's largest open data dictionary online. So this is a screenshot of what the Olam dictionary looks like today. If you go to olam.in on your, if you check out olam.in, this is what you will see. Now, this is Alar. This is a Kannada dictionary that went online in 2021. This is also online. You'll see that Olam and Alar look pretty much exact. I mean, they look exactly the same because it's powered by the same piece of technology, the same engine underneath it. Now, when I say I put a dictionary online, I built a dictionary, how do you actually build a dictionary? I'm a tech person. I know how to build websites, tools, technologies. I know how to work with databases. And a dictionary is a corpus. It's a collection of words, you have definitions. You can model it very easily in a SQL table, a couple of SQL tables. Word relation goes back to word. But where do these words actually come from? I can't just launch a website and 1 million words don't magically appear. Somebody has to do the real hard work of building and writing dictionaries. They have to have deep linguistic understanding, deep knowledge of language, deep cultural understanding. They have to have scholarly qualities. Somebody has to put in years of effort into actually coming up with words in a dictionary. So the dictionaries that I've worked on, I've had the privilege of working on, have come from these folks. And their stories are quite crazy. When I launched Olam in 2010, I typed up the first few thousand English Malayalam words myself because you have to seed it with something. And in the process, in my quest of trying to expand these dictionaries, I came across the work of KJ Joseph. He's no more. And I found a file that he'd uploaded onto a Yahoo group. I think it was called Varamori in the late 90s. And I found it in 2011, almost a decade later. And Yahoo groups, they don't even exist today. It's been deleted. Turns out, in the late 90s, in his retirement, he picked up a bunch of old Malayalam books and he digitized them and posted them online, saying he thought that digital is the future. People are going to learn online. So let me spend my retirement time in digitizing those books. Now, understand that there was no Unicode. Unicode as a technology didn't exist back then. Typing any language except for English was a nightmare globally. The technology simply didn't exist. We're talking about late 90s, 95, 96, 97. Computers, the internet itself was kind of a novelty. And yet, a non-techie like him, he did that work. He put it online as a file for posterity to read. And I accidentally discovered it in 2011-12 and it came online. So then I moved to Bangalore. I've been in Bangalore for 14 years or so. And again, in my quest of expanding dictionaries, I accidentally came across the work of V. Krishna. And he'd spent 45 years writing a Kannada English dictionary from scratch because he wanted to learn. He started writing it for himself, for him to learn himself. And then the work just expanded uncontrollably. It became a massive passion project. So partnered with him, collaborated with him, digitized and brought his Kannada dictionary online as Alar in 2021. And then right after that, in 2022, I met N. Sridharan. He's no more. He passed away in this past August. His story is even crazier. He wanted to get his dictionary published, but he was generally put off by most folks because they said, you're not a scholar, you're not qualified. So we brought his dictionary online. It's one of its kind, 70,000 words, all for South Indian languages. Right after that, in 2023, I happened to meet E.K. Kuru. He's a Malayali settled in Mumbai, and he spent the last 23 years writing a mega dictionary. It's not just a dictionary, it's a thesaurus. It's a compendium, English thesaurus, Malayalam thesaurus. It's a thesaurus plus dictionary with almost 1 million entries. And I think it's the single biggest dictionary in the entire world. And he was sitting in his home working on this because he was just interested. That work came online in 2025, November. So now I know that there are many V. Krishnas and many K.J. Josephs out there across India who would have spent decades of their lives building dictionaries. And coincidentally, last week V. Krishna came by our office in South Bangalore and he gave me this booklet. This massive, it's not a booklet, it's actually a book. These are the additions he's made to the other dictionary in the last 2 years. So the work continues. So how do you, that's the crux of a dictionary, that's the real dictionary. Now, how do you bring a dictionary online? What does a digital dictionary look like? So you can imagine, like I said, you can imagine a dictionary as a collection of words with relationships. If you think of a relational table, an RDBMS SQL table, you'll have a table called words and all the words would be there. And you could have a word table called definitions and another relations table that relates words to definitions. It can be as simple as that. Now imagine you have a table with English words and you do a basic lookup, select stuff from words where word equals swim. That makes a very simple and rudimentary dictionary. But that's not how people use dictionaries, right? You don't just go search for swim. You could search for many variations of it. How do you then find that? So there's a technique called stemming, and it exists. There are different stemming algorithms for different languages. You put a word through it, it gives you a root form. I've shown this example here. So then, instead of searching the word directly, if you stem it, you find better results. What about sentences? In a dictionary, entries are not just words. There are phrases, there are sentences, there are idioms. How do you now do an exact match? If you have this phrase, apple of the eye, somebody could search for apple of eye, apple of an eye, and a good dictionary should still return the nearest result. So you tokenize. We've heard the word tokenization quite a bit in the last 3-4 years in the context of AI. It's very similar. You take a word and you tokenize it to a rudimentary token form. And here's a really simple example. Through multiple steps, you can reduce a series of words, characters into a token. So such a phrase, on the left side you can see the word, could be tokenized into just 2 rudimentary tokens. This is the Postgres full text search token syntax. This is what it looks like. So if you do this, you already have a great dictionary. Somebody can search for apple of the eye, apple eye, uppercase, lowercase, sentence, dashes. It doesn't matter. You would still be able to return a good result. But what about all other languages, right? Indian languages, South Indian languages. When I say stemming, when I say tokenization, these are all algorithms that people have invented. There are many, many algorithms for tokenizing and stemming European languages. But there are very, very few algorithms for stemming, tokenizing, or working with Indian language text. When I started working on these dictionaries in the early 2010s, there were no algorithms. In 2026, there are still practically no algorithms. So Indian languages are called data scarce, resource scarce languages because we have hundreds of millions of speakers, but in the digital realm, algorithms and techniques for Indian languages practically are non-existent. So if you want to build a Kannada or a Malayalam dictionary, there's no way to stem it. There's no way to tokenize it. You have to invent all of that yourself. These tools don't come pre-built in any databases. So there's this very interesting phonetic algorithm, language algorithm called Metaphone for English. It was invented to enable fuzzy search and spelling error tolerance in how people's names are spelled. There's a great example here. Elephant and elephant, they sound exactly the same, but they have different spellings. But through a series of substitutions and steps, if you take out their phonetic properties, they can be hashed into something like ELFNT. Now, if you index these tokens and create a dictionary, somebody can search with an incorrect spelling and it'll still find you a good match. So these are all rudimentary building blocks for building an Indic dictionary, because Indian languages are very phonetic. So in 2013, when I was working on the Malayalam dictionary to be added to Olam, I ported the metaphone, I adapted the metaphone algorithm for English for Malayalam, where you could pass in a Malayalam word and it would generate a phonetic hash. There's a word here, mitai or mitai, and it hashes to MTY. So no matter how you spell it, mitai, no, you can spell it in 10 different ways, it'll still produce the same phonetic hash. Now that gives you great spelling error, fuzzy tolerance to build a dictionary. And in 2019, when I was working with V. Krishna to build Alar, I figured that the exact same algorithm, ML phone, could be ported to Kannada, because Kannada and Malayalam pretty much have exactly the same alphabet, barring a few slight different rules, same Brahmic script roots, and Kane phone happened, Kannada phone. So it kind of looks like this, really simple algorithm. There's a character map for your native sounds and glyphs into English or Latin characters, and through a series of steps, very subjective steps of substitution, you end up with a hash. And it all starts with these maps. So the same thing works for pretty much all Indian languages, all Indian alphabets, but it's not actually alphabet. Here's a fun little fact that I learned a few years ago. You have the English alphabet, you have the French alphabet. Those are all alphabets. But alphabet has become a generic word. Indian script, for instance, they are not really alphabets. Technically, they are abugida. It's such a weird word. When I first heard it, I was quite surprised myself. It's a weird word. Indian languages, Indian scripts don't really have alphabets. They have abugida system. They have the abugida system. The languages where a single letter has the consonant and vowel rolled into it, they are abugida. So putting all of this together, my experience of running a dictionary for like a decade, all the things that I learned through trial and error, nuances of Indian languages, multiple languages, phonetic algorithms, and the pain of running a website that millions of people visit, to solve that, I codified all of that into a single program called DictPress, dictionary press like WordPress. It was written in Go, single Go binary, used a Postgres database, had all these features. It even had, this is what the website looks like. It even has an admin dashboard. This was a big pain point. You can build a great dictionary, great search, etc. But people will send new additions. And Olam was a crowdsourced dictionary. And people will send corrections. Sometimes you'll have to add, delete. And logging into the system and running queries on the database to manage entries was a big pain. So I took the pain of building this dashboard out so that I could manage the dictionary myself, and others could also, of course. So in 2025, just a few months ago, I had this realization. These dictionary projects have been running for 15 years. DictPress is a great piece of technology. You can install it, set up Postgres, you can run your own dictionary for any language that you'd like. But who are the people who are likely to run a dictionary? So this fundamental question had eluded me in 2019 as an engineer because I was excited to build this Go project. 2 or 3 installations of DictPress outside what I maintain have happened, and I realized the kind of people who are likely to deploy a dictionary, they're not really going to be techies. They'll be individuals who are passionate about their language, community leaders, they could be nonprofits, educational institutions. So while it's trivial for me to use a Docker Compose to bring up a Postgres database and load data into it, it's unlikely that the real users of DictPress, real folks who are likely to launch DictPress dictionaries, it's going to be painful for them. And there was another big flaw in Go DictPress, which was ML phone, Kannada phone, KN phone, etc. They were all hard-coded into Go. Go is a great language. I've been programming it for a very long time. But its plugin ecosystem sucks. You can't plug things in. So if you write Go code, and let's say somebody was launching a Tamil dictionary, we'd have to hard-code the Tamil phonetic algorithm into DictPress and recompile. Absolutely not universal or practical. And another more philosophical question that bugged me after coming across 2 installations in the wild was, This is all about open data. This is all about open knowledge, open source. But how portable are these dictionaries really? If you have a Postgres database, there's a very technical nuance. If you want to share the dictionary with somebody so that they can spin it up quickly, it's tricky. You have to have some DB admin skills. You have to do a PG dump, Postgres dump, SQL dump, or you have to export it to a certain kind of a CSV format. Then you have to build an importer. So data is not truly portable. This was a big realization for me personally because I thought it's there, Postgres is universal. But ultimately, ultimately you have to have a very human-centric view of some of these technical decisions. If you're, it's happened again, sorry. So if you're building a dictionary whose spirit is rooted in the spirit of openness, sharing, etc., sharing should be as simple as it can get. Projected technologies are not rooted in human values. And from a database perspective, there's a very interesting thing about dictionaries. Unlike your content management system database or e-commerce databases, a dictionary database is likely to get 99.9999% reads only. People look up dictionaries millions of times a day, but new words don't get added to a dictionary on a daily basis. So purely from a database perspective, it's likely to read massive amounts of reads. It's likely to get massive amounts of reads and practically no writes. So thinking about all of that, the philosophical nuance, the humanistic nuance, the database nuance, I figured Postgres was really an overkill for DicPress as a project. And I thought SQLite is amazing. It's a tiny piece of database technology, which is universal. It's everywhere on your phone, in your cars, on satellites, it's everywhere. And you embed it. There's no server, nothing. You embed SQLite into your program and you get a .db file. Now, nothing can be as simple as just sharing the file with someone and then being able to spin something up instantly. So if I want to share other dictionary with someone, a community or a university, you just mail them the DB file and they have the entire database dictionary up and running. So nothing beats that. However, Go doesn't unfortunately have great support for SQLite. There are a few libraries out there, they have great many flaws. And at the same time, I figured for the dictionary to be, for DicPress to be truly universal, the language algorithm should be easily pluggable without having to recompile the program. Lua scripting is a great universal solution for all of these things. Unfortunately, Go doesn't have a great Lua ecosystem either. There are a few Lua VMs, they have performance issues, they're not well maintained, etc. However, Rust, on the other hand, has excellent SQLite support. It has great Lua VMs. Rust is, of course, very, very performant. There's this entire meme that everything must be rewritten in Rust. And all of these things were bugging me, all these philosophical issues, technical issues. And the bug of starting a new project was also bugging me. But unfortunately, I don't really know Rust. I've only recently started learning it. I have another project which is also in the works. So it would be a massive undertaking to start a whole new project when you have hundreds of unfinished projects in a language that you don't know and that you have to learn. But I've been using LLMs for a while, so I know how to use LLMs. As a senior engineer, it's not about generating massive amounts of code. It's not about vibe coding. You can use LLMs as a tooling assistant to get your ideas to shape in the way you want it, if you know how to use them properly. So many of us face this. This has been an issue. It's a disease. I've had this disease for like 25 years. I cannot stop starting new projects. In fact, Friday evening, I took a flight from Bangalore to Mangalore. I was working on a whole new pure CSS, zero dependency, web components-based UI library for my own projects because I'm sick of React, Vue, all of the SPA nastiness, the plague that has infected the software world, all the JavaScript stuff. So I started this project anyway. As I said, LLMs are a crazy technology. You can create disastrous outcomes with it. You can wipe code and generate massive amounts of bad software, amongst other things. But if you're a senior person, if you have domain expertise, you can use these things very pointedly and get your ideas to shape. You manifest them as reality really quickly. I have compressed years worth of work into weeks and months. I have a never-ending to-do list. I have a wish list of things that I want to try out and prototype and test going back 20 years. I've been trying all of them out with LLMs. So I did that. I ported the whole of DicPress as a new project into Rust. And it's production grade now. It's going live soon. Alert is being ported, switch from Go to Rust very soon. So the entire project, the secret sauce is really SQL. Just to give you some stats, Olam has been running for 15 years continuously. I've run it on a $3 to $5 DigitalOcean VM over the last 10 years. So, and Olam, the website alone gets 2 million plus unique users per month. There's an app separately, different stats. So to serve users at that scale, and people search, right, is DB queries, all it takes is like 400 rupees a month. So then this whole notion that scale is a magical thing, you need massive amounts of infrastructure, you need Kubernetes, you need containerization. No, it's not true. You don't really need any of those things to attain scale. And even at scale, DicPress is a really, really, really fundamentally simple system. The database, earlier Postgres, and now SQLite, it just has 2 tables, not even 3 tables. There's no word definition relation. It's just words and relations. You have dictionary words here, and the definitions in the same table. The relations table connect from ID and to ID. So that's the part of DicPress. And there's this one SQL query. This has taken the most amount of time. I iterated on this query over and over for many, many, many years as I learned more. This is now an SQLite query. This one query works universally for all languages. Let's say you plug in Chinese, Mandarin, or Arabic, or Dutch, or Hindi, or Malayalam, Tamil, Telugu. It doesn't matter what language you plug into these 2 tables. If they're tokenized properly, this query will give you high-quality dictionary results. It accommodates BM. You can see the small little thing, BM25. It's a best match 25. It's a really simple algorithm. It's universal. Most databases come with it. So it's a combination of a direct match thing. If entry matches directly, it's ranked first. Then the phonetic similarity ranks next. So great UX is also important. So just this one query powers all of it. It's a universal dictionary query. But like I said, it's just a few lines. But to nail this, it's taken me years. And pluggable language tokenizers, that also happened. The ML phone algorithm I wrote in 2013 and ML KN phone in 2019. I got an LLM to translate Python and Go code into Lua in one shot. I know a little bit of Lua, but it would have taken me days or weeks to prototype it. First, I needed to validate it if this idea would even work. But it happened. Then I refined it and improved it. So you can just now write a .lua file for your language, for any language, and just plug that in, and the dictionary can go on. So thinking of UX and the new possibilities and the excitement of working on this new project, I did this also. So you can see that this is a screenshot of the prototype version of Alert. I've typed HESARU, Hesaru. In Kannada, it means name. In English, or Kanglish, I think it's called. In Malayalam, we call it Manglish when you type out Malayalam words in Latin characters, in English characters. But you can see that the results still match. The first entry is for Hesaru itself. The second one is for Hasara. That's phonetically similar. It's just a screenshot with 2 things, but the page gives you like a dozen entries, all based on phonetic similarity. So the algorithm that I showed you earlier, where you put in a Malayalam or a Kannada word and it gives you small little English tokens based on phonetic similarity. So Hesaru here would have been codified to HSR. Hasara would have been codified to HSR. There are 3 levels of similarity. So if you can codify Malayalam script or Kannada script into a phonetic token, you can of course codify phonetic Manglish or Kanglish to the same thing. Now I wanted to try this idea out. Again, to try this idea out, it would have taken me days of back and forth to just build that prototype. But I got an LLM to quickly generate a prototype to validate the idea, and it worked out. So then I refined it, improved it, and it's now a part of the algorithm. So it doesn't matter if you put in a Kannada word in Kannada script or you cobble together a terrible Kanglish word, it'll still work. Then, with the, again, newfound uncontrollable disease of excitement to add more and more, I built an autocomplete thing. Earlier, the earlier version of, in fact, I missed referencing it. The earlier version of DictPress relied on this program called GoVarnam. It's a very old open source project. It's on GitHub, you can find it. I think 15 or 17 years old. It's an Indic technology project where you can load words in Bengali or Malayalam or Marathi, and it'll give you auto suggestions. As you type, it'll give you phonetic suggestions. Just like when you type on Google, the suggestions that show up, they're very, very helpful. So a great dictionary also needs auto suggestions. Now, how do you build auto suggestions for various different languages? For English, it's easy, perhaps. You can do stemming, etc. But the same phonetic thing, fuzzy match thing, can be extended to give auto suggestions also. So I eliminated the dependency of Go. So one of the biggest pain points wasn't just Postgres deployment for communities, it was also deploying GoVarnam it's an ancient piece of technology, as a dependency to get auto suggestions. And that was also one big reason to think of an alternate where all these dependencies are eliminated. Sorry, I'm misstating that. So it has a basic computational, not computational linguistic, basic NLP things here. Tri-structure, full text, fuzzy match. So when you run DictPress, you launch a dictionary, you start typing, you will get really good contextual, phonetically contextual auto suggestions. So no tooling required, comes built in. And in the process of learning Rust, top down, building a production grade thing without knowing the language, it's a very interesting way of learning. First time I'm learning a language like that. A couple of spin-offs have happened. Very useful. I've already started using these in my other projects. And yeah, I think it's important to dedicate a slide to LLMs. I think I'm still refining my thoughts on it. It's a very slippery slope. To someone like me, I've been writing code, building systems, putting them out there, running systems for 25 years now, almost. Started as a young teenager. So for me, this is a superpower. For anybody who's experienced, who spent, let's say, a decade understanding and building fundamental knowledge, domain knowledge, LLMs are a superpower. You can get you know exactly what you want. You know the architecture you want. You know the pitfalls. You know what is right and wrong when building a certain kind of technology. You can codify your knowledge and manifest it in seconds. Years worth of work can be compressed into days. But that requires a deep understanding and nuance. LLMs will generate beautiful looking formatted code, beautiful looking readmes, but that doesn't produce good software. The human element has become even more paramount now because everybody's code now looks great. But what makes good software, right? I don't understand it yet, and I am excited and terrified at the same time of my own use of these LLM tools. Absolutely wonderful, but really scary for young folks and juniors, which most of you are. As I said, I don't really know. I'm saying this very carefully. There is a real possibility that young people who are starting out with engineering and technology and writing code, hobby projects, there's a real possibility that you might build an unrelenting dependency on LLMs to quickly generate great looking software, functional stuff, something that would have taken you years of trial and error and experience to build. You can build in seconds without ever having written a single line of code. I don't think for the discipline of engineering, for the art and craft of programming, it's a great thing. Unless you build fundamental knowledge, you eliminate yourself from the equation. If AI can generate great code, what is even the point of human beings, right? Then human beings are relegated to a role of telling AI how to generate, what to generate. If everybody can generate, if everybody has access to code, what differentiates people? So ironically, while AI gives all of us this superpower, the importance of fundamental human skills has grown exponentially in the age of AI. That will shine through even more way before we had these schools. So it's a very paradoxical, oxymoronic situation. I'm trying to understand it, but I think junior folks who are learning have to be really, really wary, and you must focus on. I feel like an uncle even saying this, but the realization is so crazy that I'm compelled to say it. So pardon me. So what next? As I said, today DictPress is I think the only dictionary publishing and management software out there. So the technology part, I believe, is solved. And somebody can improve it, somebody can make a fork it, improve it, do whatever. It's possible, and there we found 4 people, right? And I know for a fact that for every language, there'd be a V. Krishna out there who spent half their lifetimes building high quality dictionaries. It's probably collecting dust on their shelves, or it's in a Word file or an Excel sheet or something somewhere on their computers. They're just waiting to be discovered. They're waiting to be brought to limelight, their work to be put online for posterity. So I think it's possible to have a compendium of high quality digital open data dictionaries for every Indian language, not just the major languages. And this region specifically has a rich cultural and linguistic history. I think Kittle Dictionary was born here, the first Kannada dictionary. And there are many languages without scripts. So very deep dictionaries and linguistic heritage have a deep connection to this region. Similarly, many other regions in India. So I have been trying to articulate something like a Indian Open Dictionary project, a large initiative, online collaborative, where people who are interested in their languages, people who are passionate about their linguistic history, or people who are just curious, can come together and build high quality dictionaries. There are many ways of doing it. One is finding people like V. Krishna. 2, the simpler method is to find out of copyright dictionaries from the yesteryear, 70 years ago, and to digitize them. OCR is a solved problem now with LLMs. Even typefaces printed on ancient textbooks can be OCR'd with deep learning models in seconds with like a 95% accuracy. These things were not possible 2 years ago. Then it requires human proofreading. So there are many, many ways, technological and others, to bring dictionaries online. So something like this, high quality open data dictionaries for every Indian language in the next 10 years, I think can be a reality. And yeah, that's all. Thank you. I think we are bang on time, yes? 30 minutes? Yes, of course.
So if anyone has, we can take quickly 1 or 2 questions. If anybody has questions, just raise your hand and our volunteers will get the microphone to you.
Hello Kailash, my name is Durga Prasad Nayak. So I have a question. Actually, you told about the ML phone and KN phone. So there, like the phonetics are like you are converting into the normalization form, right? So if someone wants the form, like it's open source, so someone wants it, the phonetical language, like the Malayalam Calicut is different in Kasur, Malayalam is different. So pronunciation will be different. So you may have some of these issues rising up. Who you are building it for like to enhance the dictionaries, and also now the people are trying to build LLMs on their mother tongue, etc., etc. So if they want this kind of thing, you should like. Is there any option that we can add those phonetical?
That's a very, very interesting question. Beyond the engineering aspect of it, it's great to see these things. It's great to see dictionaries come online. But once you dig deep, you realize there are deep political connotations to dictionaries. Many regions, many districts don't even agree on certain words. So who's the authority on creating a dictionary? Who decides what has to be pronounced? So when you start working on smaller community-oriented dictionaries, you run into those political problems that go back centuries sometimes. But that's the beauty of open source. You fork KN phone and you make a version for it that suits your community and you launch your own dictionary. So the right way forward is not to have one other which is the de facto Kannada dictionary, is to have many different things. We should all ideally have colloquial dictionaries. Such a thing doesn't exist, but our entire lingua franca is full of colloquial words. How we speak in Calicut is very different from how they speak in Thrissur, 2 hours away. But none of this is studied scholarly. So the easiest thing is to capture them, at least in open data sets, community dictionaries, and spin up small little things that capture those nuances, be it language algorithms, be it data.
I have one more question actually. Uh, it might sound like a suggestion for you. There is a dictionary, digital dictionary, which started in 2008, which is in Tulu language. It has like 20, like nearly 18 to 20 contributors who are working for continuously for that. They have the list of the places, like there's a list of Putturu, Mangaluru, Udupi, and different types of lists, and they have all the phonetics and the words they need. If you search a single word, they have the meaning of all other words or all other variations of the same word which has same meaning in the other region.
That's wonderful.
And
Just to add, DictPress, the system, allows you to add all kinds of metadata. Alert today has audio pronunciation for 1.5 lakh words. That was a community contribution. Somebody who was interested used AI to generate 1.5 lakh MP3 files for every single word. It's quite useful. And what you're describing is etymology. So one word, different variations, is history, tracing it back. So all those metadata things can be represented in DictPress, the technology. But that sounds like a great rich dictionary. Yeah.
okay, thank
I
you.
think you
Sir.
should switch that to DictPress to make it more usable. Accessible.
Actually, it is a community contribution with crowdsource,
Yeah.
which is kind of semi-closed source because they only those people are working, and it's hosted on 2008. But it's continuously updating. But we are not able to contact the person who is maintaining it.
This is the whole thing about open shareable data sets. You put in so much work, an entire community's work codified over decades. What if the admin vanishes and it's all lost? That'll be a horrible tragedy. That's why technologies have to enable openness, sharing, distribution, resharing, etc. by design.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, hi Kailash. Uh, is there a language input method built around this transliteration based?
The earlier versions had, but now, because language input technologies have matured on operating systems, on Android you can type in whatever language, I've removed custom-built language input. But that's why the whole Manglish-Kanglish thing exists. Either you input in your native operating system's keyboard in your language, or you just phonetically codify it.
So I built Scrite, which
Yep.
is a screenwriting app. None of the methods we offer, people are happy with it.
Yeah.
Right, so they don't like the OS transliteration. They don't like, some of them have Nudi preference, some of them have Baraha preference. So we can't just keep anybody happy. So I was just wondering if it's possible to build one more from this, because it looks very promising if you write a Hesaru and then it picks up
Yeah.
a bunch of options. So, but there doesn't exist anything already, but it can be built. That's what
It
it's.
can be easily. So once you get HSR, you can convert it to native script in many ways. But many people will like it, many people will not like it. That's why I removed all the custom keyboard input to native language hacks that I had earlier. Thank you. Thank you.